There we go. I think I'm on. Okay, I'm going to check on YouTube one more time to see if I'm actually on here, and then we can get rolling. So let's see. Oh, I have video. Yep, I have video on my thing. Okay, awesome. So I'm live. Here we go. Well, sorry for the rough start. It should be much better now. I was doing YouTube videos about 6 months ago when we had Google Hangouts, and then YouTube removed that, and then I just didn't ever learn anything new to do live streaming. And then a friend of mine, shout out to Brian Stavely, who's the best, he told me about this program called StreamYard, and I am loving it. It's great. Now that I figured out the couple little things, I'm live and we're good to go. So I'm super excited to be back doing videos. So I started my channel as a Flat Earth channel, and I have a couple Flat Earth videos that I've made, and it just kind of got to where I still don't think that we live on a spinning ball. I don't care if you do. It doesn't affect me in any way. But it was just kind of one of those things that is like, that's just one part of me, and I like to talk about anything that interests me, and that's not the only thing that is interesting to me. And so, my channel has then evolved to my other videos that I have, that they're all just kind of random and like whatever I wanted to talk about that day, maybe reading to people. And yeah, I've just been really trying to get a feel for what I want to do on my channel. And so this video, so I will be going back and finishing. I have a couple videos that kind of just got left unfinished, and so we'll be going back and doing a part 2 on those.
The timer went off. Is going
off. Okay, well, just turn the oven off and open it up. Hey, Ted. So yeah, that's been just, honey, just turn the timer off and turn the oven off and open it up. My son, he's making lunch and all that. Anyway, so yeah, that's been kind of my channel. Started out as a Flat Earth channel, and then I just didn't know what to make videos about anymore with that. And so now it's just become kind of a channel of like, hey, this is my channel. I'm going to talk about what I want. And so today I am going to be reading a few, like, I guess it's shout outs or good news or something that, a few of my friends have been experiencing, because it's like, if you watch the news, it's just such a horror show, and it's completely made to indoctrinate you and put you in a fear state so that you vote in more government control. And I mean, if you can't see it at this point, I don't know what to tell you. But so that's never going to stop. That just, as long as media is there, there's going to be propaganda and fear pushed on us. So I thought that it was important to just put out a good frequency. And even if I only have a 15-minute episode or whatever, at least I'm putting something good out for people to watch or listen to, or hopefully you can learn from. Because after my good news, I'm going to be talking about something I'm super excited about, which is tomatoes. Yum! So we're going to learn about different kinds of tomatoes, how to grow them, and fun stuff like that. So let's get into it. Let's have some good news. So I have a friend who, in December, she started a stream on Discord and then on Twitch, and she's having just amazing luck with it. Her channel's growing super quickly and she's getting tons of support, and she does Pokemon streams. So if anybody wants to learn about Pokemon, I think she talks about like Pokemon Go with it, and she does all kinds of giveaways, and it seems like a really fun time. And so her channel name is Astral Moogle, and that's ASTRAL MOOGLE. And so that's on Discord and Twitch. And so she's had such great success. Her followers were able to get her a new computer so that she can do better streams. And then she was even asked to be a affiliate on Twitch. And it's just kind of like exploded for her. She's doing just awesome with it. So yeah, if you want to learn about Pokemon, go check out Astral Moogle on Discord and Twitch. She's a super nice gal, very knowledgeable, very friendly, and she loves to answer questions. So check that out. So another thing, I have a lot of friends who are currently having babies, and that's something that I will never be sad to hear about. Just anyone who's having a baby, that makes me happier than anything possibly in this world. And so Shelly and Christopher just found out that they're having a baby girl, and so she's about, I think, 16 weeks along. And Tabitha and David are expecting their first child. They're due, I believe, Valentine's Day, so coming up super close. I just went to their baby shower and it was really fun. And they actually don't know what their baby is going to be, so that's really exciting. And then Stephanie and Justin, this story, I'm so excited for, because they already have 2 girls, and everybody thought that they were done having kids. She had, some complications getting pregnant with the second one, and everybody thought that they were probably done. And so about 2 months ago, she thought she had the flu. Come to find out, she's pregnant. And so we're all just blown away, so excited for that. That was just like such a wonderful hit of joy. I was so happy to hear that. And so everybody is hoping that they have a boy, because they do have 2 girls already. But as long as the baby's healthy, that's really what everybody is hoping for most. And so let's see, Samantha and Will just bought their dream home, and it's gorgeous. It's just big and beautiful and a wonderful yard, and she gets a nice bathtub, and so just awesome. So exciting. For all my friends are just crushing and just doing so good in life. I love it. And then I have a friend and a group of mine, just a couple of us are like gardening girls, and so Amber is setting up her garden right now, and she's already had her yard deemed the best around in her fort, and she lives on base. And so her garden, or her yard, is the best in her community, and she actually won a gift card for that. So super exciting for all of them. And then the last little bit of good news is my good news. I have recently lost, so I started trying to lose weight about 7 years ago after my son was born, and so I always wanted to get back to the weight that I was when I got pregnant with him. And in the last couple months, I've finally reached that point. So I'm currently down 55 pounds, and probably even more than that, because I haven't weighed myself in over a month or so. And so it's just so awesome. It really feels great to have lost so much weight. And I even picked up a dumbbell yesterday at the gym that weighed 55 pounds, and I seriously could barely pick it up. It was crazy. I just can't even believe that I carried that on my body every single day, and now I can barely even pick it up on my own. But yeah, super exciting to have lost so much weight and just be getting healthier and feeling so much better. And yeah, so that is all of my good news right now. And so if you want me to read any good news stories that you have, you can leave me a comment, and I will read it on my next stream. I'll try and start my plant streams with some good news at the beginning of what's going on in the week and whatnot. And so yeah, if you have a good news story for me, feel free to share it, and I would love to read it. But now we're gonna get into the real good talk here. But actually, give me just one sec. I'm just going to brag about myself a little bit on Facebook, because I want as many friends here as I can get. But I'm just gonna share this to my Facebook and see if anybody wants to come and hang out and learn about tomatoes. Ted's still here. What an awesome guy. Always crushing. All right, sharing now. Let's talk about tomatoes. So I'm gonna be sharing my screen, and we're just gonna be reading a little bit from Wikipedia, and then I'll probably go over some planting tips and tricks and whatnot. So if you have never grown a tomato, well, I am going to tell you a few things about growing tomatoes today. Before I share my screen, though, I'm going to talk a little bit about these seeds that I brought in. So I ordered this one from M.I. Gardener. They're wonderful. He has a YouTube channel as well, and you can find him on Facebook and, you know, every social media out there possibly. But so I have these, they're called Black Seaman tomatoes, and I actually have 3 of these plants planted in my apartment. And so I'm growing them with grow lights, and they're in a bucket, and they're about to get transplanted into my in-ground garden. I have a community garden plot, and so yeah, I'm really excited to try those. When I was ordering tomatoes, I wanted to get kinds that I had never heard of and that I'm not going to try unless a specific farmer's market is growing it, or if I grow it myself, basically. And so yeah, I got these to try, and they're growing. They're doing awesome in my apartment. Like, I added in a second light, and they're getting really bushy and tall, and they're just awesome. I love them. So the other one I have a ton of seeds. I mean, seriously, probably over 100 packs, so I'm not showing all of my seeds. Just grabbed a couple random tomatoes to show off. These ones too, I'm super excited for. Another M.I. Gardener, and these are called the Green Zebra. Oh, it's probably not clear. Green Zebra tomato. And another one that I got because they just look so interesting, and it's like, I've never tried a tomato like that, so why not give it a try? And I need to get my seeds started inside right now, because I'll be able to plant. You have to, you know, if you're going to plant outside, you have to get them started a month or 2 before, and then plant them outside. I don't know. It's a whole process. It's a whole process, and I'm learning. I haven't been a gardener until last year, and I started with like a couple aloe plants, and then, you know, other succulents, and then just kept upgrading from there. And then all of a sudden I am, you know, looking to buy 5 acres so that I can have a homestead and grow everything under the sun. And so, you know, the love for plants it's really wonderful. So my son and I went to a seed swap this weekend, and I found it just randomly on Facebook. A friend tagged me in the post, and so I went to a seed swap and ended up, I took 10 packs of seeds to trade and left with 76. So yeah, I'm going to be growing a lot of stuff this year. I'm really excited. But so I found these super sweet tomatoes. The camera doesn't really want to focus on it. They're just like a cherry tomato, and I really love those. So I got those to try, and then I got some of these yellow pear tomatoes because I love bite-sized tomatoes. They're so good, but I'm super excited to try the big slicer tomatoes. Yum. So those are a couple seed packs that I got, and I'm just like super excited to try. So let us get into it. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to read some stuff about tomatoes. Okay, so let me make sure that it's streaming. We're good to go. Awesome. Perfect. Okay, so you can read along if you want, or you don't have to. I mean, if you're doing dishes, feel free to just listen and enjoy learning about tomatoes. So the tomato is the edible, often red berry of the plant Solanum lycopersicum. I apologize in advance for all of my Latin. Commonly known as a tomato plant, the species originated in western South America and Central America. The Nahuatl word tomatil gave rise to the Spanish word tomate, from which the English word tomato derived. Tomato. Its domestication and use as a cultivated food may have originated with the indigenous peoples of Mexico. The Aztecs used tomatoes in their cooking at the time of the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire, and after the Spanish encountered the tomato for the first time after their contact with the Aztecs, they brought the plant to Europe. From there, the tomato was introduced to other parts of the European colonized world during the 16th century. And I'm so happy that they were. I seriously could just live off tomatoes. I love them so much. Tomatoes are a significant source of umami flavor. The tomato is consumed in diverse ways, raw or cooked, in many dishes, sauces, salads, and drinks. While tomatoes are fruits, botanically classified as berries, they're commonly used as a vegetable ingredient or side dish. Numerous varieties of the tomato plant are widely grown in temperate climates across the world, with greenhouses allowing for the production of tomatoes throughout all seasons of the year. Tomato plants typically grow to 1 to 3 meters or 3 to 10 feet in height. They are vines that have a weak stem that sprawls and typically need support. I have so many good ideas for tomato trellises. You can grow so many different things on a trellis. It is one of the most fascinating things I've ever seen. Vertical gardening is just absolutely a game changer in any garden space. It's wonderful. But we'll talk about that a little bit later once we're talking about planting them. The indeterminate tomato plants are perennials in their native habitat, but are cultivated as annuals. Determinate or bush plants are annuals that stop growing at a certain height and produce a crop all at once. The size of the tomato varies according to the cultivar, with ranges of 0.5 to 4 inches in width. Okay, so what does tomato mean? The etymology. The word tomato comes from the Spanish tomate, which in turn comes from the Nahuatl word tomato. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing these wrong. I'm not good at language, but you know, I'm learning. We're all learning, right? Meaning the swelling fruit. The native Mexican tomatillo is tomate, meaning fat water or fat thing. That's awesome. I got some purple tomatillos that I'm really excited about, and now I'm just going to call them the fat things in my garden. I love it. When Aztecs started to cultivate the Andean fruit to be larger, sweeter, and red, they called the new species, oh my gosh, Zitomatil. Okay, yep. Plump with navel or fat water with navel. The scientific species epithet is interpreted literally from Latin in the 1753 book, Species Plantarum, as wolf peach, where wolf is from Lyco and peach is from Persicum. Okay, that didn't make a crazy lot amount of sense. It probably does to someone. Anywho, I'm sure my presentations will get better with time and more organized. I'm just so happy to be back with you guys and to hopefully be teaching you anything that isn't, you know, going to lead you to fear and whatever. So botanically, a tomato is a fruit, a berry consisting of the ovary together with its seeds of a flowering plant. Oh, that's something I didn't know until last year, basically, is that vegetable plants, well, they're actually any vegetable that I don't even know how to describe it. Basically, vegetable plants have flowers on them, but they're considered fruit. So like a zucchini, it has the flower, and it looks like they're probably going to talk about that. Oh yeah, here we go. That's hilarious. I need to just keep reading. I love it. Okay. However, the tomato is considered a culinary vegetable because it has a much lower sugar content than any culinary fruits. It is typically served as a part of a salad or main course of a meal rather than as a dessert. Tomatoes are not the only food source with this ambiguity. Bell peppers, cucumbers, green beans, eggplants, avocados, and squashes of all kinds, such as zucchini and pumpkins, are all botanically fruit, yet cooked as vegetables. This has led to legal dispute in the United States. In 1887, U.S. tariff laws that imposed a duty on vegetables but not on fruit caused the tomato's status to become a matter of legal importance. The U.S. Supreme Court settled this controversy on May 10, 1893, by declaring that the tomato is a vegetable based on the popular definition that classifies vegetables by use. They are generally served with dinner and not dessert. The holding of this case applies to the only interpretation of the tariff of 1883, and the court did not purport to reclassify the tomato for botanical or other purposes. Interesting. Like, imagine the amount of time and money that these people spent, like, complaining in the court system over whether a tomato is a fruit or a vegetable. I mean, her legal system is it's just hilarious. Tomato plants are vines, initially decumbent, typically growing 6 feet or more above the ground if supported, although erect bush varieties have been bred generally 3 feet tall or shorter. Indeterminate types are tender perennials, dying annually in temperate climates. They're originally native to tropical highlands, although they can live up to 3 years in a greenhouse in some cases. Determinate types are annual in all climates. Tomato plants are dicots and grow as a series of branching stems with a terminal bud at the tip that does the actual growing. When the tip eventually stops growing, whether because of pruning or flowering, lateral buds take over and grow into other fully functional vines. Tomato vines are typically pubescent, meaning covered with fine, short hairs. These hairs facilitate the vining process, turning into roots wherever the plant is in contact with the ground and moisture, especially if the vine's connection to its original root has been damaged or severed. Yeah, the tomatoes that I have growing in my apartment, they're getting quite tall, and one of them I had to kind of support up because it's getting so tall that it wants to start falling over. But yeah, you can see along the whole stem it has these little like prickly hairs almost, and so if you once I plant that outside, I'll plant it probably at least a foot deep, and then it will grow roots off its entire stem and then continue growing up, and then I'll put it on a trellis so it doesn't fall over. But yeah, it's really fascinating to just plant a seed and see what happens, just see what happens. It's the most fun experience and experiment that you can really have, because I mean, we're so disconnected from our food right now. It's kind of mind-blowing. And yeah, I mean, I'm still learning every day about food. Like I said, last year I didn't know that fruiting or vegetable plants have flowers on them. And so, just little things like that. We don't know where our food comes from, and I think we need to get back to that. So let's see, where were we? Most tomato plants have compound leaves and are called regular leaf plants, but some cultivars have simple leaves known as potato leaf style because of their resemblance to that particular relative. Of RL plants, there are variations such as rugose leaves, which are deeply grooved and variegated, angora leaves, which have additional colors where a genetic mutation causes chlorophyll to be excluded from some portions of the leaves. The leaves are 10 to 25 centimeters long, odd pinnate, with 5 to 9 leaflets on petioles. They're just really going to make me work for these words today. It's awesome. Each leaflet up to 8 centimeters long with a serrated margin. Both the stem and leaves are densely glandular, hairy. And tomatoes have the plant has it's a really interesting smell. Some people probably hate it. I think it smells really good, but it is a very, very unique smell. And yeah, it's very interesting. I can't even describe it. It just smells, yeah, unlike any plant that I've smelled, but I actually really like it. Their flowers, appearing on the apical meristem, have the anthers fused along the edges, forming a column surrounding the pistil style. Flowers in domestic cultivars can be self-fertilizing. The flowers are 1 to 2 centimeters across, yellow with 5 pointed lobes on the corolla, and they are borne in a cyme of 3 to 12 together. Although in culinary terms, tomato is regarded as a vegetable, its fruit is classified botanically as a berry. As a true fruit, it develops from the ovary of the plant after fertilization, its flesh comprising the pericarp walls. The fruit contains hollow spaces full of seeds and moisture called locular cavities. These vary among cultivated species according to type. Some smaller varieties have 2 cavities. Globe-shaped varieties typically have 3 to 5. Beefsteak tomatoes have a great number of smaller cavities, while paste tomatoes have very few, very small cavities. For propagation, these seeds need to come from a mature fruit and be dried or fermented before germination. Yeah, if you're going to save the seeds, I try to get heirloom seeds. They're just really, really awesome. They've been bred through generations and generations, and they will breed true. That's what my M.I. Gardner seeds are. Those are all heirloom seeds. So when you plant that seed, you're going to get that tomato. And so then if you save the seeds, you just scoop out the seeds and then put them in a jar of water for a couple days, and then you just rinse them off in a little strainer, and then let them dry and put them in a pack and mark what your pack is, and you can put the year on it if you want, or the date or whatever. But yeah, just write what kind of tomato you have on there, and then bam, you're gonna have, if you saved these green, if I saved seeds out of these green zebra tomatoes, then I would get to grow more green zebra tomatoes. So pretty cool. Saving seeds is it's really awesome, because you get one seed that gives you hundreds of fruit, and they each have hundreds of seeds in them. So I mean, just do the math pretty quick on that, how many seeds one could have. Let's see, what have we here? The classification, genetic modification. How many more things are we going to get into? I'm not going to be reading this whole entire page. I just wanted to kind of give people some basic knowledge, and okay, so we'll probably read some of that so we can learn about the differences in heirlooms and whatnot. I just want to see if there's anything else that kind of jumps out at me. Okay, so let's just go for it. We'll read the classification, genetic modification, and then we'll go down and look at types of tomatoes. So, is this one going to be filled with all kinds of Latin? Because I might not read that if that's the case. Looks like it might not be too bad. Okay, 1753, Linnaeus placed the tomato in the genus Solanum alongside the potato as Solanum lycopersicum. In 1768, Philip Miller moved it to its own genus, naming it Lycopersicon esculentum. That sounds right. This name came into wide use, but was technically in breach of the plant naming rules, because Linnaeus' species, named Lycopersicum, still had priority. Although the name Lycopersicum, what is with these words, was suggested by Karsten, this is not used because it violates the International Code of Nomenclature, barring the use of tautonyms in botanical nomenclature. The corrected name, Lycopersicum was technically valid, since Miller's genus name and Linnaeus' species name differ in exact spelling. But since Lycopersicon esculentum has become so well known, it was officially listed as a nomen conservandum in 1983, and would be the correct name for the tomato in classifications which do not place the tomato in the genus Solanum. I hope that anyone out there understands what that said. I really need to study Latin, clearly. Genetic evidence has not shown that Linnaeus was correct to put the tomato in the genus Solanum, making Solanum lycopersicum the correct name. Both names, however, will probably be found in the literature for some time. Two of the major reasons for considering the genera separate are the leaf structure. Tomato leaves are markedly different from any other Solanum. and the biochemistry, many of the alkaloids common to other Solanum species are conspicuously absent in the tomato. On the other hand, hybrids of tomato and diploid potato can be created in the lab by somatic fusion and are partially fertile, providing evidence of the close relationship between the species. Okay, moving on. Genetic modification. Tomatoes that have been modified using genetic engineering have been developed, and although none are commercially available now, they have been in the past. The first commercially available genetically modified food was a variety of tomato named the Flavor Saver. And the spelling of it is ridiculous. If you're just listening, they spelled it FLAVRSAVR. The Flavor Saver. Ugh, whatever. Which was engineered to have a longer shelf life. Scientists are continuing to develop tomatoes with new traits not found in natural crops, such as increased resistance of pests or environmental stresses. Just like the government. Oh, this thing needs to produce more and do exactly what we want it to, when if you just let nature do its thing, it will take care of itself. And it's just like, we don't have to do so much to grow our food. You can literally just plant it and let it do what it's going to do. And yeah, I mean, think of the forest. You know, does anybody ever go out in the forest and say, wow, I really need to make this grow better, and I need to help with the pests out here, and I need to do this and do that so the forest will thrive? No, the forest is just thriving. It's just doing what it does, and it doesn't need us to go and make it something that it's not. It's just, yeah, I'm constantly in awe of the power of nature and how little we have control over it completely. So. Other projects aim to enrich tomatoes with substances that may offer health benefits or provide better nutrition. Okay, and that's another thing. A tomato is completely nutritious and great for your health all on its own. You don't need to add anything to it. It's sweet and it's delicious and it's good for your whole body. So just plant the seed and grow the tomato. That is it. An international consortium of researchers from 10 countries, among them researchers from the Boyce Thompson Institute for Plant Research, began sequencing the tomato genome in 2004 and is creating a database of genomic sequences and information on the tomato and related plants. A pre-release version of the genome was made available in December 2009. The genomes of its mitochondria and chloroplasts are also being sequenced as part of the project. The complete genome for the cultivar Heinz 1706 was published on the 31st of May 2012 in Nature. Since many other fruits like strawberries, apples, melons, and bananas share the same characteristics and genes, research stated the published genome could help to improve food quality, food security, and reduce costs of all these fruits. Okay. China apparently doesn't have a whole lot to do with tomatoes. They've just got one little sentence. Italy, shocking. They have a whole section. Sorry, trying to keep the information going. I know if there's dead air, it's because I'm not speaking. So trying to give you good things to listen to and not be just reading nonsense. Okay, well, let's learn about a couple varieties of tomatoes. So there are around 7,500 tomato varieties grown for various purposes. and I will try them all. Having been selected with varying fruit types and for optimum growth in differing growing conditions. Yeah, I will, if if I had 7,500 different kinds of tomatoes, I swear to you, I would plant every single one just to try it. I am so excited about my purple tomatillos. I just have never seen anything like that. And I'm like, I can't even handle it. I'm so excited to just try stuff that I'll never try in a regular store. And yeah, it's so fun. It's the most one of the most fun. So I'm a constant hobby girl. I love arts and projects and crafts and just I'm constantly getting new hobbies and trying new things. And out of everything, my current love for plants is my absolute favorite hobby that I'm growing, because how awesome is it that you can plant one tiny little itty bitty seed and then it grows into a plant and then you can eat the fruit off the plant. I mean, there's just nothing more fascinating and awesome, and really just shows you the power of creation in this world, and it's amazing. Okay, so tomato varieties can be divided into categories based on shape and size. Beefsteak tomatoes are about 10 centimeters or more in diameter, often used for sandwiches and similar applications. Their kidney bean shape, thinner skin, and shorter shelf life makes commercial use impractical. Sorry about that. Plum tomatoes, or paste tomatoes, including pear skins, are bred with a lower water, higher solids content for use in tomato sauce and paste for canning and sauces, and are usually oblong, 7 to 9 centimeters long and 4 to 5 centimeters in diameter. Like the Roma type tomatoes, important cultivars in the Sacramento Valley. Cherry tomatoes are small and round, often sweet tomatoes, about the same 1 to 2 centimeters size as the wild tomato. I love cherry tomatoes so much. Oh my gosh, they're so good. Like in a caprese salad. Oh, yum, my heart. Oh. Grape tomatoes are smaller and oblong, a variation of plum tomatoes. Also amazing. Campari tomatoes are sweet and noted for their juiciness, low acidity, and lack of mealiness, bigger than cherry tomatoes and smaller than plum tomatoes. Ooh, those sound really good. I'm not a fan of Roma tomatoes. Those are like the only ones that I could just deal without. They're just such a boring, basic grocery store tomato. Like, ugh, gross. Campari tomatoes are sweet and noted for their juiciness. Oh, nope, I just read that one. Tomberries, tiny tomatoes, about 5 millimeters in diameter. I wonder if those are there's one variety called ground cherries. I wonder if tomberries are similar to those, because they grow really small and they're just super sweet and really good. Apparently, I've been wanting to try the ground cherries. Oxheart tomatoes can range in size up to beefsteaks and are shaped like large strawberries. Oh yeah, the Oxheart. I have a package of from My Gardener pink Oxheart tomatoes. That's another one I'm super excited to try. And yeah, I got it because they're like almost like a hot pink color, and they really are heart shaped. Like they look like a beautiful little heart that you can hold in your hand and then eat, and they just look so yummy. Yeah, I'm loving all the tomato kinds out there. So pear tomatoes are pear shaped and can be used upon the San Marzano types for a richer gourmet paste. And slicing or globe tomatoes are the usual tomatoes for commerce, usually a wide variety of processing and fresh eating. The most widely grown commercial tomatoes tend to be in the 5 to 6 centimeter in diameter range. We call those ones just tomatoes on the vine, those round, just regular tomatoes or whatever. Let's see. Okay, this mentioned. Oh yeah, perfect. Tomatoes are also classified as determinate or indeterminate. Determinate or bush types bear a full crop at once and top off at a specific height. They're often good choices for container growing. Determinate types are preferred by commercial growers who wish to harvest a whole field at one time, or home growers interested in canning. Indeterminate varieties develop into vines that never top off and continue producing until killed by frost. They are preferred by home growers and local market farmers who want ripe fruit throughout the season. As an indeterminate form, there are plants sometimes known as vigorous determinate or semi-determinate. These top off like determinates, but produce a second crop after the initial crop. The majority of heirloom tomatoes are indeterminate, although some determinate heirlooms exist. Early tomatoes and cool summer tomatoes bear fruit even where nights are cool, which usually discourages fruit set. There are varieties high in beta-carotenes and vitamin A, hollow tomatoes, and tomatoes that keep for months in storage. In 1973, Israeli scientists developed the world's first long shelf life commercial tomato varieties. Heirloom tomatoes are becoming increasingly popular, particularly among home gardeners and organic producers. Since they tend to produce a more interesting and flavorful crops at the cost of disease resistance and productivity, the definition of an heirloom tomato is vague, but unlike commercial hybrids. All are self-fertile varieties that have bred true for 40 years or more. Quite a few seed merchants and banks provide a large selection of heirloom seeds. Home cultivars are often bred for flavor to the exclusion of other qualities, while commercial cultivars are bred for factors like consistent size and shape, disease, and pest resistance, suitability for mechanized picking and shipping, and ability to ripen after picking. Hybrid plants remain common since they tend to be heavier producers and sometimes may combine usual characteristics of heirloom tomatoes with ruggedness of conventional commercial tomatoes. Most modern tomato cultivars are smooth-surfaced, but some older tomato cultivars and most modern beefsteaks show pronounced ribbing, a feature that may have been common to virtually all pre-Columbian cultivars. While virtually all commercial tomato varieties are red, some cultivars, especially heirlooms, produce fruit in blue, green, yellow, orange, pink, black, brown, ivory, white, and purple. Such fruits are not widely available in grocery stores, nor are their seedlings available in typical nurseries, but they can be bought as seed variations. Seed variations include multicolored fruit with stripes, fuzzy fruit on the skin, multiple colors, lucky cross, etc. There's a lot of information about tomatoes. Wow, this is impressive. Impressive. I hope everyone is having fun. I know I'm having a blast. Let's see. We should probably talk about some of the pests, just so you can be aware of what might come after your tomato. Okay, various forms of mildew and blight are common tomato afflictions, which is why tomato cultivars are often marked with a combination of letters that refer to specific disease resistance. Some common tomato pests are stink bugs, cutworms, tomato hornworms, and tobacco hornworms. The hornworms, you can actually, if you go out at night to your tomato plant and you take like a black light, a UV flashlight, take that and shine that on your plants, and the hornworms will light up super bright green, and you'll be able to find them when they're really small before they eat your whole plant. So definitely do that. They do grow into a really, really big, cool moth though. So, I mean, if you have a ton of tomato plants, like maybe give them a plant to eat and let them grow into a moth just so you can see it, because they do grow, like they make a really beautiful moth. And so, you know, they're part of the system too. So just, I don't know. I'm not a super hater on the pests. I mean, some of them are there for a reason, and so, you know, we all got to eat, so it's all good. Anyway, other pests are aphids, cabbage loopers, whiteflies, tomato fruit worms, flea beetles, red spider mites, slugs, Colorado potato beetles, tomato russet mite, feeds on foliage and young fruit of the tomato plants, causing shriveling and necrosis of leaves, flowers, and possibly killing the plant. Common tomato disease is tobacco mosaic virus. Handling cigarettes and other infected tobacco products can transmit the virus to tomato plants. Yeah, and if you pull out any plants that you know are diseased with blight or anything like that, you don't want to put them in your normal compost. You want to burn those. Just separate all the diseased plants out and burn those. Don't feed them to your chickens, and don't put them in your compost because they're diseased, and you don't want that to get into everything else. Another particularly dreaded disease is curly top, carried by the beet leaf hopper, which interrupts the life cycle. As the name implies, it has the symptom of making the top leaves of the plant wrinkle up and grow abnormally. After an insect attack, tomato plants produce cystamin, a plant peptide hormone. Cystamin activates defense mechanisms such as the production of protease inhibitors to slow the growth of insects. The hormone was first identified in tomatoes, but similar proteins have been identified in other species since. That's fascinating. Although not a disease as such, irregular supplies of water can cause growing or ripening of fruit to split. Besides cosmetic damage, the splits may allow decay to start. Although growing fruits have some ability to heal after a split, in addition, a deformity called cat facing can be caused by pests, temperature, stress, or poor soil conditions. Affected fruit usually remains edible, but its appearance may be unsightly. Yeah, as your tomato plant is growing, take a look at the blossoms, and if it looks like there's more than one flower blossom like fused together, you should pull that blossom off, because that is three flowers that are growing together. So it's going to be three tomatoes that are growing together, and they'll get all cat-faced and nasty, and you just, like, see this picture here, you just won't be able to use enough of the tomato for it to be worth it. So yeah, just pop those flowers off, and then the tomato will put more effort into the tomatoes that you will actually be able to eat. So companion plants, among the most famous pairings is the tomato plant and carrots. I love carrots. Yeah. Studies supporting this relationship have produced a popular book about companion planting. Carrots love tomatoes. The devastating tomato hornworm is a major predator in various parasitic wasps, whose larvae devour the hornworm, but whose adult form drinks nectar from tiny flowered pods like umbellifers. Several species of umbellifer are therefore often grown with tomato plants, including parsley, Queen Anne's lace, and occasionally dill. These also attract predatory flies that attack various tomato pests. Borage is thought to repel the tomato hornworm moth. Borage is really nice too. I think that's a kind of lettuce, but it gets a really pretty flower on it, and bees love it. Plants with strong scents like alliums Onions, chives, garlic, mints, basil, oregano, spearmint, fresh marigold are thought to mask the scent of the tomato plant, making it harder for pests to locate, or to provide an alternate landing point, reducing the odds of the pests from attacking the correct plant. These plants may also subtly affect the flavor of tomato fruit. Ground cover plants, including mints, stabilize moisture loss and around tomato plants and other Solanaceae, which come from very humid climates, and therefore may prevent moisture-related problems like blossom and rot. Taproot plants like dandelions break up dense soil and bring nutrients from below a tomato's plant reach, possibly benefiting their companion. Tomato plants can protect asparagus from asparagus beetles because they contain solanine that kills this pest. While asparagus plants contain... Too much asparagus is quite the tongue twister. While asparagus plants contain asparagic acid that repels nematodes known to attack tomato plants. I didn't know that a nematode was a real thing. That's hilarious. I don't think I've ever heard that in like real life. I've only heard that on literally the show Doug from the 90s, like the nematodes. That's hysterical. Marigolds also repel nematodes. Awesome. Pollination. So basically, if your plant is outside and natural, in the ground or in the garden, whatever, bees are going to come by and pollinate it. Probably other insects too. All right, we're going to stop screen sharing. That's, I think, all I wanted to show you about that. So, okay, we're back. And let's see. So, let me actually, I'm going to take my glasses off because the glare is probably annoying. So, yeah, I love tomatoes, if you don't know, but I am going to be I'll be doing a plant stream probably every Friday now that I know how to live stream again. And so if there's a particular plant that you want to learn about, just leave me a comment. And if I get enough requests for the same one, then I will do that plant. And we'll talk about that. But I mean, right now I have enough seeds that I will probably just kind of go through my seed packs, pick a seed, and we'll learn about that plant together. But yeah, so if you want to plant tomatoes, you can plant it from seed, or you can get a start that is already going. And so I love to plant from seeds just because I love to see how it grows and evolves and changes. And so right now I have 3 tomato plants going in a 5-gallon bucket, and I probably should have put one individually in the bucket, but it's all good. They're going to be going in ground pretty soon, and so it's not really a big deal. But so tomatoes like to be planted really deep. So, if you have a tomato start, I would recommend letting it get to at least a foot high in your apartment or wherever before you put it in ground. And then when you put it in ground, plant it as deep as you can and pull off all the bottom leaves for as deep as you're planting it. Just pull off those leaves and pop it in the ground. And then as it grows taller, you can put a tomato cage around it, or you can put like a piece of fencing and connect it to that. Or there's so many different ways to make a trellis and out of just really simple things. And it just kind of needs a little bit of support so that it'll grow up the trellis. And then I like to kind of prune it pretty heavily, so I clip off a lot of the branches so that it'll just really focus on, growing a couple branches of really strong, solid tomatoes. And but yeah, I mean, they're pretty easy to grow. They do like a lot of water, and so every couple days, just give them a good solid dosing of water, and if you're unsure about how much water they might need, you just want to like stick your finger in the soil, like, you know, at least an inch down, and you want it to be damp but not soaked. You know, you want your soil to always be just a little damp. And so yeah, if you have any questions or anything about that, or anything to add, any varieties of tomatoes you like, feel free to share it. And just gonna see in the live chat here, I got a few people. So shout out to Ted Summer and Dave Marsh, and Brandon Bonifant says, wow, Professor Tomatoes here. I've grown them a few times, but only knew the basics of fertilizer, etc. Awesome. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a few things. I'm a very new gardener, and I am a huge fan of just plant it and see what happens. You really can't go wrong with it. And there's endless things that you can learn from plants. And I mean, how cool to plant something that you could possibly eat. And so it's awesome. I actually did harvest my very first harvest of carrots this last weekend because I had planted them in October, and then I hadn't been to my garden plot. And so I got out there, and I had a surprise of carrot harvest waiting for me, and they were really good. So that was really exciting. I planted those from seed and was able to harvest them and eat them. So that was the first thing I've planted from seed to harvest, and so it was really exciting. And so yeah, plant a seed and see what happens, and let me know in the comments below if you are having success with growing or any plant that you want me to talk about. And yeah, so thanks so much for tuning in. This has been Dottie, and I'll be back next Friday with another plant stream for you. And let me know too if you have any good news. I'll read good news at the beginning of my stream. So bye everyone. Have a great day. Plant a seed. Grow with me.